We just finished watching Tyler Perry's new 2025 Madea movie, Medea's Destination Wedding, for the first time.
As always, first we'll give you our non-spoiler review of the film and let you know if it's worth the watch.
Then we'll give you a deep dive, including a full rundown of all that happened in the movie.
Let's get started.
I'm Heit.
And I'm Cheri.
And you've discovered Axiom Amnesia.
We want to thank all of the supporters who helped to make this video possible. If you want your name to appear alongside these contributors, make a one-time donation of $5 or more via our website at axiom.app, Cash App, or you can head on over to patreon.com/axiomamnesia to enjoy all of the benefits of becoming a monthly subscriber. All right, and so this is our non-spoiler review, so you don't have to hop off yet if you haven't had a chance to watch the movie, because we're going to tell you if you should watch this movie or not.
Yeah.
The first thing I'll just say is that this movie is a Madea movie. And so if you've seen Madea movies in the past, you already sort of know what to expect from a Madea movie. And if you love Madea movies, you're just not probably going to be disappointed.
Well, but I say if you expect to laugh, don't be. Don't expect to. But anyway.
I mean, I think there were some things that were funny, but
there were some things.
Oh, so let's start with entertainment.
That's where I'm starting with, because you have, a Madea movie, I don't expect it to be a good story. I don't expect it to be a good movie, but I expect some laughs. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't get that from this one.
All right. Well, let's start with the rating. So for entertainment, I'm going to give it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
What?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 6.
6? You were entertained?
I was reasonably entertained. Like, I didn't think it was what I expected. I would say if it wasn't what I expected, I would have given it below 5.
Yeah.
It was what I expected. And then, there were a couple of little seeds of things that were food for thought. But again, we're not talking Oscar nominated type film level stuff. This is, a Madea movie.
Yeah, but do you have to be entertained for Oscar level stuff? But anyway, I will say that I'll give it entertainment a 2 because I sat through it. Right. But like I say, it's not funny. Just watching these people, I have
Why
no
is it not
reason.
funny? Is it not funny to you because you feel like you've seen it before?
Okay, you had the stupid jokes of somebody can't say a word.
Yeah.
Right? And the jokes weren't, he's old. You know what I'm saying? Maybe when you were 30 and trying to play on the hipness of something, you know what I'm saying? And you bringing in the slang that you wouldn't expect somebody to say and those sorts of things. But you're old. You can't even do that anymore.
Well, you may not have the nuance for the youngest
yeah, but I'm not even that young either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But also, and maybe it's more of plot, but I think it's entertainment because I like to see these things. There's this film, I think, or this series, I think it was called something about Gen Z, where this Gen Z girl takes over a marketing company or something, right? And I like the culture clash sort of that, the generational gaps and all of that, right? That stuff should have been in this film because it's about this young couple or whatever, right? Who's getting married. Yeah. So then they have another child in here who is about 19. They talking about coloring books and shit, and people have devices and they live different than these old 50, 60-year-old people.
Almost 80 and 80,
yeah. But none of that is in the film, and we know everyone has phones and all of this stuff, and it's not in the movie. How? You know what I'm saying?
That's a fair critique.
But one thing I did like was the GoPro thing. They were on Brown was...
He used the GoPro.
Yeah, he used the GoPro, and they showed the footage, basically. I don't know if it was actual GoPro that was the footage. That was the, the
But
clip.
it was like a shot, supposed to be from the GoPro, yeah.
So that, but, yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, I could see that. So let's get to the plot.
Oh, my, yeah.
To me, the plot, I'm going to give a 4. And the reason I have to give the plot a 4, because it didn't meet standards to me. It started off where it could be good, but I felt like it was just a hodgepodge of things. It took
So
a long
4
time.
is a hodgepodge of things.
It took a long time. Like it's lower than what I would call meet standards, which I would say is like 5.
So it was
right?
close to meeting standards.
It was close.
Look, see?
It's so hard, but I'm gonna say a 4 because if you go into this knowing what a Madea movie is, which I do, my expectations are not high, but I would say for a Madea movie, it was it did not meet my standards for a Madea movie.
Yeah, well, I say the same thing, right? But it don't meet my standard for any B movie. B movie still, hey, we're having this party.
Yes.
To make money to pay the rent.
Yeah.
This didn't even have that.
Yeah. So
this one gets a 1.
The plot problems for me were that it took a long time to even get to the destination. And I wanted more at the destination because I thought that would be more interesting.
Third in.
And then I felt like there was stuff that happened at the very beginning of the movie that just was left there and completely unrelated. And maybe that's
saying.
Okay, but
it's not okay.
It was like a time waster to me.
Yes, there
like
needs
we didn't
to
need
be
to have that, or you could have developed something more in the film with that time instead of showing me something
needs
that
to
was
be
wild
a story.
and random.
There is no story. Want us to cover your favorite movie ASAP? A one-time contribution of just $50 or more to Axiom Amnesia gets you a deep dive on demand, a 30-minute discussion on any film you choose.
It's easy. Step 1, send $50 via our website, axiom.app, where you can pay via card, Apple Pay, or you can pay directly via Cash App at $Axiom Amnesia. See the links below. Step 2, tell us your movie, email, the name you want to appear on screen, and what kind of deep dive you want. General, a specific character, a particular aspect of the film, etc. Step 3, watch your deep dive on demand with your name listed as executive producer.
Lock in your deep dive on demand today and hurry. Spots are limited.
This offer is not valid for filmmakers or distributors. Subject to availability and terms apply.
It's that, okay, first off, we have the protagonist, right, who is, you would think would be a Madea, but it's not. It's Tyler Perry, who is Brian. Right? And then he's missing for 30, 40 minutes of the movie. And then he shows back up. Yes, it was. He showed back up for some conflict or something.
The issue with any Madea movie is you have a lot of characters and you have the regular characters that are always going to be in the movie, like Cora and Brown, Madea. I forgot Medea's brother's name, but the old man, Joe. So you got all of these kind of staple characters, whatever their storyline for that film is that's happening, the subplot or whatever. And then you have whatever's supposed to be the main plot.
There was no subplot.
I don't want to give it away, but the subplot is what they were doing at the hotel whenever they would get the chance. And that would...
Spending money?
Yes.
Yeah, but...
So that was, to me, part of the subplot that was going on there. And... So,
yeah, but that's not what...
But it shouldn't be. It's like in a soap opera, right? In a soap opera, all of your subplots are...
meaningful.
Okay, but because you got all of these people in their lives, and it's and the focus of the different episodes of a soap opera change, right? So this month it might be heavily focused on this couple and whatever they got going because their wedding is happening, but then next month it's somebody else, and so all of these subplots serve to kind of keep all of these characters moving forward through time when you have something that's filmed. But this is a movie, and that's why I felt like it didn't work as much. But
yeah, but whatever. I think that any movie, okay, we done seen the same movie plenty of times of where some kids are getting married and their parents or whoever don't want them to get married, and then there's a reason because so and so is snooty patootie and blah blah and all these reasons. None of it worked. It just didn't make sense. And then when it all came together, it was like, yeah, but that's pointless. That doesn't hold up. And then it's, I'm mad at you for this reason, then all of a sudden I'm not, and it just didn't.
Well, what I also feel like is
a basic story.
The issues we saw in early Tyler Perry Madea films and just Tyler Perry films, period, have been reduced and watered down in a way that it doesn't hit as hard when the big reveal of anything is ever made.
There was no big.
Well,
So the thing is, so the earlier
when you
ones,
find out the whys.
right? Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So the earlier ones, you have a story, right? Like a kid can sit around and make up a story about somebody getting married, and it makes sense because a story is, hey, this happened, to this happened, to this happened, and then by the end, oh, okay, that makes sense that these things happened.
Yeah.
Right. So even the earlier Madea films that I've seen, I think I've seen most of them. That's what happened, right? You see, this is the story. These boy is whatever, and he turns out gay or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's that sort of a thing. Or the kids got to stay with Madea and they trying to go to this party or whatever. I don't know. I can't remember them exactly. But you get that. And then you're like, all right, movie's over. Cool. It was a story that was told.
So what is your plot score?
I already gave him a 1.
Did you? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't.
This was like, yeah.
A 1. Okay.
The worst story you can tell.
Okay. So let me talk about cinematography.
Yeah.
All right. So for my cinematography score, I'm actually going to go ahead and give that, I might give it an 8. And the reason I'm going to give it such a high score is because I do think there were some interesting things where, I did like the GoPro angle. Nothing's ever really going to be wrong with the cinematography so you would get at least, you're kind of starting at a 5 for a Tyler Perry film because, he knows how to do this, at the most basic of levels, and I think that we do see some upgrading of the different angles that you might see. And there were things that I did enjoy and did like. There was one thing where I was like, did he use B-roll? Because there's this part where, they're showing you the hotel room, the suite or whatever, and they show you the bathroom. And I was like, that looked like somebody's phone camera B-roll, but I don't know. But hey, and because it was also shaky. So I thought that was kind of funny. But, cinematography wise, I will go ahead and give that an 8. What about you?
I would give it, I'll say it's a 6. So there were some shots that I liked. So like in the beginning, there was this pointless scene that happened, right? So they're at this store and then they drive across the street, right? And I kind of liked how, this is my new thing, watching actors drive. So they get in the car, Madea drives, and it's a long shot, I guess a drone shot maybe. And she gets in the car and actually drives across the street to a gas station. Right? I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then there was this other one where looked like they were at some aquarium or something. And then the, simple things like a group of people are closer to the camera and they're way in the back and we can hear them,
and a shot down the water slide, that was pretty good. Yeah. I felt like, and,
but it wasn't nothing I look at and be like, wow.
Yeah. But so there were some things. And what about because you were like, oh, what did they do? Shut down the airport to film there? Because the airport scene, I liked that.
Yeah,
I thought
the terminal. I'm like, okay, that's terminal. All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, that's what we'll give it for cinematography. Let's get to sound. What would I give it for sound? For sound, I'm probably going to go with a 7. I feel like the sound was, better than meet standards. I can't think of anything that was wrong with the sound. At the same time, there really wasn't anything right with it.
Yeah, well.
It was just all right.
The music, I'm going to give it a 5.
What was the music? I don't even remember the music. And I literally just watched this film today.
Was B-movie stock music. Right? The old cheesy music from all the Christmas movies and stuff. Boop,
boop,
boop, boop,
yeah.
boop. That's basically what it sounded like. And I was just like,
that's probably why it was kind of forgettable. But, again, put it this way. I didn't catalog it as bad. It's just forgettable.
Yeah, I heard everything. So, that's a good thing.
What about,
for the most part.
Oh, you know what? There was one song. Now that I think of it, there was that one song that was kind of related to the wedding that did pique my interest. But you know what I think is that, and I guess with all of these productions, because Tyler Perry has a bazillion deals, and so with all of his productions, it's probably pretty hard to do original music or whatever, and maybe there just isn't the money in the budget to select films. Actual songs by artists for some of these films.
You mean the actual song?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the score. You could pay me and I could do something. You know what I'm saying?
But what I'm saying is, even if you pulled old songs from whenever or even new songs, Like that would
you
add a
don't
little
have to
more
have
interest.
the most famous of people to, you know what I'm saying,
No.
license songs. Yeah.
So so to me, I would say that's why it wouldn't be like an 8, 9, or 10 for me.
Just come on.
But yeah,
It's the effort is not being put there, right?
yeah, I would say that. Like there was nothing wrong with it, but it can't be exceptional when that little edit touch is not there.
Yeah,
but
there's so many good songs.
You
know
working
what I'm
against
saying?
deadlines. You got your deals with Amazon and
It
Netflix
don't, man.
and all that. You know,
Okay, I got a deadline. Hey, you listen to music all day. Just send me some playlists of songs.
yeah, send me some songs and send me one song for each scene. Like I'm thinking you could assign some interns to something as simple as that.
Yeah, like
Send me some songs that talk
tell your
about
nephew.
certain love themes.
Yeah.
You probably could ask ChatGPT that, but let me
Bruh.
stop. Anyway, so we only have 2 more categories left. Let us look at the acting category.
Let me tell you about the acting.
Next.
The acting is why you switch.
Oh, I didn't realize it was you. I'm sorry. Okay,
The acting, you could get I don't know, man. We had Tyler Perry basically trying to lead this thing, right? I did not know he was in those other movies though.
Yeah,
As
he was
Tyler
a character.
Perry.
Yeah.
I don't. That's how much how
for those
little
of you
I
who
remember
don't know,
the
for
other
those
ones.
of you like Heit, he plays Medea's nephew. He's the son of Joe, the old man.
Whatever. They get a 5 because you had. I think it's Ryan Destiny is the girl. Oh, that's not Ryan Destiny. It's Diamond White. She looks just like Ryan Destiny, I think. Who?
All this time,
I thought it was her the whole time.
I didn't know who it was. She's gorgeous.
I just assumed it was Ryan Destiny. But they had a moment where both of them together was supposed to be emotional, and then you had the husband who was supposed to be emotional, and none of them did it for me. And then you got the comedy acting, and we got the overacting comedy acting from all the other people. So that's just basically what it is, and it's a comedy, so whatever. But you also had the boy who was supposed to be 19, and he was, I don't know why he was in the movie, now that I think about it, but he was trying to play a geek.
He was trying to play a geek, and he was supposed to be adding to the comic relief and stuff like that.
Relief
at
from
certain
what?
points. Well, because they would laugh at him being a geek, right?
Yeah,
they would
and
laugh
it
at
didn't work.
whatever his habits were that were not like a 19-year-old. So, that's, I guess, the function. For my acting score, I would say I'm going to give it a 5. And the reason for my 5 is because I feel like some of the comedy is repetitive. The typical Madea comedy is going to be repetitive. Brown is going to mispronounce words, and we're just going to play with that, and it's just not fresh anymore. And because of that, I already sort of know it, and it's much harder to get a laugh. It's much harder, like he might be putting the same effort as from the first movie to now. But the thing is, it's harder now because we already know they're going to mispronounce stuff. So you've sort of seen that trick before, and that makes it a lot harder to keep people satisfied. So, I'll give it a meet standards. It's what I expected. I wasn't expected to be wowed and on the floor rolling, laughing from, this film. So I'm giving it a 5.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. We have one category left, editing.
So, I'll just go ahead and say they met standards, so I'm going to just give them a 7 because they added in that water slide GoPro thing, which was a random GoPro that came out of nowhere. Here, use the GoPro.
Yeah, but it was appropriate because it was sort of an action scene where a person would use a GoPro on vacation. So,
but
it
I don't
worked.
even think it was their GoPro.
That was them trying to be modern.
Yeah.
It worked a little bit, For my editing score, I'm also going to give it a 7, and for the same reasons.
I gave it a
think
6, right?
Oh, I thought you gave it a 7. You gave it a 6. Okay, well, I'm giving it a 7. I think it was better than what I expected because there were a couple of little new things that I feel like for the Madea movies that we don't always see. But I was cool.
They ain't do no green screen and stuff, I don't think.
No, well, his green screens take away. So if they had done a green screen, the score might have been lower because the green screens in those movies are never good to me. So I would just say for, and when we look at the overall ratings, wow, I wound up with a 6.
Dang, pretty good movie.
Is, I would
above
say,
average.
slightly,
That's solid film right there.
Which means it for me, if you like Tyler Perry movies that are Madea movies, it's not a bad way to go ahead and spend a couple hours or whatever.
But it's your rating.
My rating is a 6.
Yeah.
That's
solid. Mine is a 3.8, which tells you don't watch this trash. But you can watch it, but I would
know what
never.
to expect.
If somebody was like, hey, I'm about to put on Medea's Destination Wedding, I'm going to just leave. All right, I'm going to head on out. But if you told me, Boo, I don't even know if I saw that one. Some other one, then I'll sit through it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this one, nah, bro.
Yeah. I guess it just depends on which Madea film that it is. So yeah. So those are the ratings. Overall, we've already said where I think it's worth the watch if you like Madea movies. You're not going to just be totally decimated and disappointed or anything like that. Heit, like I said, we rounded out with a 3.8 from his score. Mine was a 6. And so that is it. But now, if you haven't seen the film yet, you probably want to hop off the call because we are going to get into our non-spoiler review where we really talk about all the stuff that we thought was wrong with the movie, what was right with it, and all of that stuff, which is going to be actually our spoiler review. So hop on off if you don't want it spoiled for you because that's where we are right now. So it
opened up with fat jokes.
Yeah, I mean, which you kind of can expect. And then, so it opens with Cora and Madea and Brown, and they're at this grocery store parking lot at night, and they're complaining about the bad crime in the neighborhood. And so, after that, they're like, oh, you should really be going shopping in the daytime and whatever. And so I do like that there are these little tidbits of social commentary about what's happening at the time. But it should still be more connected to the plot, which I feel like there was a disconnect, which is what I was referring to earlier. And so then they go across the street to the gas station where some guys roll up because, of course, something's going to happen related to crime because they've just been complaining about it. And that there's not a whole lot of subtlety in Tyler Perry films. So something is about to happen. So they go, to the gas station, which is across the street, with that amazing shot that Heit really liked, showing her drive across the street. And these guys try to carjack while Cora and Brown are inside paying for the gas. Madea is outside and they want to carjack Medea's car. She takes the nozzle and sprays them with gasoline. And then at one point, as they're driving away, she stands in the street and lights the trail of gasoline on fire, which of course goes to the car. And then the car explodes and they're hopping out or whatever. And it's on fire.
And they're on fire. Yeah. So this is basically a scene that doesn't need to be in the film, but it was just there to open the movie.
To just be wild.
Yeah. But I think we've seen those before. And that was a big one a few years ago where a woman was getting robbed and she sprayed them with gasoline. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just where he took it from. And he's like, what if I put it in a movie?
Yeah, because I was like, where does he come up with his ideas? Like, does he see something that just annoys him? And he's like, the crime is too high. He jots that down. And then that just becomes part of dialogue in a film or something. But what I was just thinking about was other films do this. So think about, for whatever reason, one of the Beverly Hills Cops comes to mind. And I think it's Beverly Hills Cop 2. Where at the beginning, there's a heist of a cigarette truck and then Axel Foley is trying to chase down this truck. There's this whole crazy action sequence that has nothing to do with the main plot of the film.
But they're establishing who the character is.
But we already know, most of us know that from the Madea film. We already know these people.
Yeah, but Madea isn't integral to the film, right? So you don't need to establish that and who she is. Right? When it comes to the actual story, she's just there to say things that Tyler Perry wants to be said.
Yes.
Right? But with Axel Foley, you know what type of guy he is by how he
act with
in these situations and the good con man sort of a
character.
Thing. Yeah. And it's establishing, sometimes what type of movie this is, right? Oh, it's a crime movie about some sort of heist. But
I think too, and I'm just trying to think out loud here. So I think that maybe the thing is, all right, every Madea film has certain ingredients, and every film Medea's has got to do something wild.
There was another one where Brown was on fire or something at the beginning, right?
Outside or something.
Yeah, he was barbecuing or something.
Yeah, so maybe that just has to happen in every film, and that's just part of the formula. Which, all right.
But did he kill Madea?
I don't know. I don't remember. Not in my mind, anyway. Y'all go to the comments and let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
I think I've seen all the films,
put out so
but
much
I just,
stuff. I just thought that she had died or was going to die.
I just think that there's like in my mind when I watch Madea stuff, it's just like I'm in it for the moment that it's happening and a very short time after that. Like tomorrow, I may not even know the details. Of
they have these websites about these characters and stuff, right? And I went on it. One of them about Madea, maybe a bunch of months ago, maybe a couple years. And they were talking about, trying to break down who the character is, how old the character is. And then they're like, oh, in this film, she said she was this age, but in this one, she's this age. And I'm just like, oh, man, there's so many inconsistencies.
Well, she's supposed to be like 80 because Cora, who is her daughter,
90 something.
Or not even 90, right? Because Cora, who is her daughter, is 59, like almost 60 years old.
Yeah. But the thing is that when you say things in movies and it's the same character that's contradicting, then it's very hard to piece together who the character is.
I've come across that in like some of these like serial novels and stuff like that where, where the author will want to change something. Oh yeah, well listen, don't give it away. Don't give it away all the way. Yeah. But yeah, where somebody had like some serious thing go on that was just not present in the earlier films and you just kind of have to suspend belief at some point or ignore certain things to just make it all make sense. But yeah,
kind of what happened in here.
Yeah, but you also have to remember too that time is very different in books and movies and daytime soap operas as well, right?
Yeah.
Because it can take the wedding in in real life, in real time, might be a 6-hour event if you include everything that happens in the party or whatever after. On a soap opera, it could be like 3 weeks.
Yeah. You know how long Miranda was buried alive?
Oh man, So it can. So that's the point. Time is just a different.
Y'all didn't think I knew about that,
and we have to understand that. But yeah, so then we get into the nuts of what happened.
Tyler Perry, I was like, Tyler Perry is playing somebody besides Madea in the movie?
Because for whatever reason, you didn't remember him as Brian.
Not at all.
So Tyler Perry is also Brian. So then we see that he's at dinner with his ex-wife and their daughter, Tiffany. And the son is there with them also, their 19-year-old son. So Tiffany's older, and then she's got, they've got the son, and this is his ex-wife, and he's got custody of their son because the ex-wife had a substance abuse problem in the past. And so then they argue over the son because he's this nerdy kid who doesn't know about life and he's too sheltered or whatever. The mother's like, he should know more about life, blah, blah, blah. So that's the sort of small talk that's going on.
Because he's a geek.
Yes. And then the daughter, Tiffany, shows up with a guy, Xavier, and he's like, AKA Z.
Yeah, he got braids. He light skinned. He got a tattoo under his eye of a heart, maybe. And then he talking about, what's up, my nigga?
Just loud and rude and whatever. And so then the daughter, Tiffany, announces that they're getting married. And I was just like, well, okay, a young couple actually getting married. The mother already knew that they were getting married, and she did not hesitate to be like, I already know their secret, but I'm here to help tell the dad that they're getting married or whatever and ask for the blessing. So, basically Brian just ups and leaves the restaurant in the middle. He can't even deal. And so he goes to his father's house, and the father lives with Madea. Joe is his father. So that's Medea's brother. And they're sitting outside. Madea has like an assault rifle or something outside. It's just crazy. So then they do this banter outside or whatever. But the big deal is he's sitting on the porch because he's depressed and sad that his daughter has decided that she's going to marry a guy who seems like he's all wrong for her. And
yeah, but this is about, where you were talking about how, he has these issues, and you like when they bring up these talking points, basically, because they're having a discussion of the Second Amendment.
Yes.
Basically in that part. And
then the crime and weapons.
And then about child rearing and stuff like that, which is just, but it's not funny.
You let the kids talk back
either.
And all of this and that, but it's like the conversation that you've heard many times before. But I do like that we discuss it. Because Brian tells Madea and his father, about them getting married, and they talk about raising kids. And Brian says he did not want to give his kids the beatings that his father gave him. And he said he basically wanted the kids to kind of like be free to be themselves and all of this. And I do think that is a social commentary on, older millennial and Gen X children and younger Gen X people.
I guess,
about
but you
their
know
rearing
how
versus now.
long Tyler Perry had to talk about basically how you discipline and raise your kids.
Well, maybe some things are coming up because his children are young now.
Yeah,
Or his child.
right?
I think he has 1 or 2 kids.
Because when we think of Spike Lee, right, and
Mhm.
then we look at later on the movies he's making, like around the late teens and
Mhm.
early 20s, I guess,
Mhm.
and you're like, why is he making these movies? Because he touched on those other subjects earlier, and he's not just repeating.
Well, and I
those
think life
same things.
experiences change you. I think we really saw it like with Eddie Murphy, right? He's making all of these Axel Foley's, whatever he made when he was younger. And then when he started having kids, next thing you know, you're looking at Shrek and, what's the animal movie with the, Dr.
Madagascar?
Dolittle.
Oh, yeah.
And,
No, but I was thinking more so of like, you're talking about the Second Amendment now.
Oh,
when you had 20 years to talk about the Second Amendment in films.
And maybe your feelings about some things have changed.
Yeah.
Or maybe you feel like I have enough money that I can be more vocal about my opinions about politics and social issues more than I could in the past. I don't,
I guess.
So they're talking about.
But Madea always had a gun, though.
Yeah, always in her person. And this one, she just basically just got a whole big old gun. So, but they talked about how, he's sulking or whatever. And, they address the spanking of children, which I think is a very appropriate and right now type of conversation, because you look at the children in this generation, I think far fewer of them are receiving corporal punishment than did when we grew up.
So that one's over. That discussion is done.
Now, Brian's father, though, Joe, said that the rabbit died. The rabbit died. She's pregnant. And I don't know if all of these young people.
I don't know about that.
That's okay. So
I'm not country, y'all, but go ahead.
You are country. You're just not that country. But it's not even about that. It's a certain age. And the only reason I know this is because my mother used to make this reference when I was growing up. She would say, oh, the rabbit must have died. They must be pregnant, right? So when they would do pregnancy tests in the past, if you had a positive pregnancy test, they would literally inject the and I guess it was the urine from the woman into the rabbit. If the rabbit died, that meant she was pregnant. I don't exactly know 100% how that worked.
You mean they done it in your mama's lifetime?
Yes, this is what they were doing when people would be getting pregnant at that point. So, somebody
where did they get all these rabbits from?
Well, I don't know. They would, rabbits do it a lot, and you can have a bunch of them, and they be in the lab, and you just inject them. If the rabbit died, that's how you knew you were pregnant. Okay, so that is an old reference that if you are too young, you might not have understood what that really meant. That's what it was. Now, he says it right after he's like, the rabbit died, she's pregnant. But you may not have gotten that connection. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give you that point, Tyler. I'm going to give you that. Because I love these old
Tyler
references.
Perry's country.
He country, and he's old enough to have heard people say it. I still argue that I don't know that it's a country thing, because that's just how they did the test back in the day. So, and this is before, look, y'all, back in the day, they didn't have home pregnancy tests. You had to take your butt up to somewhere or wait for your belly to get big. You had to take your butt on up to the doctor's office and get a test. There wasn't a go up to the Walgreens and get a home pregnancy test or anything else. You had to go to a lab or go to the doctor, and then they'd send it out and they would test you.
Yep. So Brian was at work and he was trying, because he's a DA.
Yes.
Is he the? He's the DA, and he want to get an FBI background check on Z, who is marrying his daughter Tiffany.
Yes.
Like, bro, come on now.
And so he's talking to his coworker, and he's like, I need to find something on him because he got this tattoo on his face and da-da-da, and I've seen him look like him before, blah, 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 blah. So, later at a family gathering, Brian continues to sulk, and, the typical Madea cast is there. Cora, her daddy, what's her name? Bam. All of them are all there at Medea's house, and they talk about how children don't rush to get married no more, when they pregnant, because they're trying to figure out why the rush for the marriage. Because in the past, if you saw people getting married real quick, it's because the woman was pregnant and people cared about that baby coming before and being married in what they would call a respectable time from when the person became pregnant. Now, because of that's just how the world is in many, if not most circles, folks just don't care nothing about that. Folks don't care about getting married. It's just not how it's rolling at this point in time, unless you are in have a very traditional background.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what they're talking about. So I do like that they have these conversations about where the culture was and is going. And you got old people talking about how it used to be. And then I was looking at Xavier, and like you say, light skin with these braids in his hair, and I said he looked like Sky Jackson's baby daddy that she done broke up with and is accusing of all kind of
that's maybe
physical
what
stuff.
Tyler Perry was thinking.
That might have been. And then I said, well, maybe he also look a little bit like Keke Palmer's baby daddy too. He looked like the baby daddy.
Oh, so he looked like the man who all these women go after.
He looked like every baby daddy that tried to ruin a young black actress's life. I'm just joking, but no, he
all
has
your
this
kids
look
and
about
grandkids
himself.
are chasing dudes like this.
Maybe he even looks a little bit like Solange's son.
He looked like some of them streamers
right
too.
Now.
And
he does look a little like. What's that?
Cheri be watching these gossip videos and they be like, Trey has said, and that's what Trey be looking like every time. Trey and Shanice was this, and it always this guy.
Well, the thing that's funny, and it's getting
or
harder.
He got the little long hair that's still kind of like puffy at the top, but the sides is cut.
It's just getting harder to do because the older you get, I think you have to have your ways to keep your pulse on the culture. And while I don't have any super young people that are in that age group that I'm interacting with on the regular to hear some of the banter, to hear what like a 19, 18, 17, 20-year-old, somebody
I watch Kai Cenat,
Yeah.
So I know about a ball and all this, what I'm saying? Glazing somebody up. I know about Yana and cooking with Kaya.
So this is how we kind of keep our pulse on things. But you are so right. And I was going to say, he looks a little like Solange's son, too.
Look, see? And he was doing somebody wrong, too, huh?
Was it Sky Jackson, actually?
Oh.
It was because Sky Jackson has the type, actually, because he was the one, I think he was talking about putting some pictures of Sky Jackson out and stuff.
Was he? Wow.
He was, what is his name? Julius? One of y'all in the comments know what Solange's son's name is. But anyway, so that's who he kind of looks like or whatever. So then we find out they're going to have this destination wedding because they've announced it. And they are going to go to the Bahamas and nobody's got passports or anything. And it's in 2 weeks.
They got introduced to Z and he was just basically to Joe. He was like, "What's up, old nigga?" And he's like, "I ain't going to tell y'all nothing about me or whatever. I ain't answering none of your questions." And then Tiffany is like, he's an artist, basically.
Okay, like it was clearly a ridiculously exaggerated version of a person who doesn't know how to be appropriate according to the standards of that family and probably a lot of families. Because even...
not to call somebody old nigga.
Yeah, but even, that's what I was going to say, even like the thuggish, ruggish bone know how to behave because they still got grandmas. They still got older people in their own family that they don't go around acting a fool with.
Yeah.
So, to me, that was a little unrealistic, but okay, maybe it
So they're going to the Bahamas.
Yes.
In 2 weeks, and they don't even have passports, so they got to go get passports.
Yes. So then at the same time, Brian gets basically roped into paying for this destination wedding for everybody because they like, we on a fixed income. We ain't got no money to be doing all that and whatever.
Like, we don't do budget.
So, yes. So Brian is going to pay for his daughter's wedding, his daughter's destination wedding to this guy that he really does not even like. So they all go to get passports. And of course, like always, mayhem is going to ensue with Madea. And, you're going to get some comic relief that was a little bit of a letdown. And so that was just like a time waster to me. I really wanted to go ahead and get to the Bahamas. So
wait, you mean the passport part?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So they went to get their passports and they got their passports the same day.
Yeah, they walked out with like the passport, but like in what world?
But I did laugh though. So she was,
you might be
Madea.
right.
She was scared about going to get passport because somebody came out in handcuffs, and what we got going on right now. This could have. I don't think he was anticipating that's happening, but it fits perfectly now.
And I do think that the film was filmed before 2025 because there's a line in there that he did not cut out, which is like 2025. That's the future.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, but so they got passport same day. So basically, Madea got scared and she ran out.
And bust through a
and jumped
pane
through,
glass.
pane glass window. And then somebody came up talking about, "Are you okay?" And then I think it was Brown or Joe. One of them was like, "Nah, she ain't okay. She crazy."
And then, like, one of the people who were supposed to be the workers broke character and was literally laughing. But I like in these sorts of films when people break character and are laughing, because then I think it's funny that they broke character.
Bruh.
But yeah, so that actually, I take that back. That was a funnier scene, but in the scheme of what I really wanted to get to see about was this young couple getting married, is making me wait. So they get their passports and everything's fine. And then we find out that the ex-wife, Brian's ex-wife, his children and whoever, and the guy have taken a private jet to the Bahamas. And the rest of the family is like on a regular plane. So then, we got to get some more comedy on all of them getting on a plane, talk about they can't sit in the regular seats.
Yeah,
the seats
I
are
understand.
tight, butts are too wide,
They
people
was
are
like,
fat, all that
somebody's
whole
like,
deal.
"What's Coach? Coach is the itty bitty ass seats, bro." But like, so we had those Spirit flights. That was that.
I don't even know if you could do that anymore.
I don't know, but they had them big seats up front, and it didn't cost that much more.
$25, if you pay for your
that
extra
shit was
$25,
it was so
worth it.
comfortable compared to the typical airplane seats.
I'm going to tell you what was really comfortable. And I used to fly out of this airline all the time, out of Milwaukee, instead of flying out of O'Hare or places in Chicago. It was an airline called Midwest. They have since closed down, and they had all business class seats on all their airplanes.
What?
So it was an entire plane of only
Did it cost
two
more?
seats. No, and they had regular airfares. I was like, this is the best thing. And let me tell you, before you landed, they baked fresh cookies on board, and they served a cookie, a hot cookie, a warm cookie. I was and it would smell like cookies on the plane.
Big back activities.
Big back activities. And at that point, I was a bigger back. And trust me, believe me, I loved that flight. And it was
Chocolate chip.
It was chocolate chip cookies on the plane. Y'all go look up the chocolate chip cookies on Midwest Airlines. That was, hands down. And I think they were based out of Milwaukee, but the rates were great. I used to fly out of Milwaukee because I was working in the northwestern suburbs anyway. And the airport to Milwaukee was only like an hour away.
It doesn't pay to be good to your customers.
Man, and they sure went out of business. So, but it was, it was wonderful to fly that airline, and you never had to worry about that middle seat. So anyway, so they, fly there. They finally get to the Bahamas and whatever, and people are complaining because, look, somebody didn't pay for your trip, but you get there and you want to have your own room. You do not want to be sharing rooms with people and whatever, so everybody's got to argue over the rooms, and Brian's got to pay more money for that.
There were $100 night rooms though.
And I was like, these rooms is cheap, even at even $200 a night at the
Does
they were
Tyler
at the
Perry not know how
Atlantis.
much rooms cost?
He probably don't, because he probably it doesn't matter. Like, you just don't have an idea. He don't know how much a gallon of milk costs, I'm sure.
Definitely
not. So Madea though finally gets Tiffany by herself and, with the ladies. And she's like, why are you rushing into a marriage? And there's just no clear answer. This is the question that continues to come up. Like, why y'all got to get married so quick? What the heck is going on? So this is the big dun. Why? This is the big why that we don't know. That's supposed to string us along. That's going to be an amazing answer when we finally get it.
Yeah, but you know what I seen? Like, she, she ain't seen her own wedding dress or whatever, and that brings up dressing. And they were, they always clown Brown about how he dressed and stuff. But when you were there on vacation, y'all all basically dressed like Brown.
I was looking at that wild and bright patterns, and they all look like Brown. That is true.
Exactly.
That is funny.
So nothing's wrong with what Brown be wearing. Brown be fresh. Like the first scene where they was basically talking about him.
Patterns
and it's like, but the only thing was his shirt didn't match because of the pattern. But the suit itself, nice.
Yeah, y'all don't know. Heit loves a pattern. Okay, so so we do find out though that the mother is like making all of these decisions for Tiffany, the daughter, about this wedding, and she seems to really be the one who wants them married, and we still don't understand why. So this is what we're being strung along for. She tries on her dress, and she's like, "My mother picked out the dress," and everybody's looking like, "Why y'all even getting married? This is wild." So Tiffany says the mother thinks this is the right thing. And then the mother is there and the mother insists this is the right thing. Stay out my business, And so Brian, though, the father, is struggling with this idea. This is Tyler Perry's character. He's struggling with the idea of the marriage. And then Madea tells him basically just be supportive. So when things don't work out, she knows she's not alone and that she always has a place to go. Right. And I thought this was interesting. And I liked this. I liked the advice. Not that I felt it was good, but I liked that you bring this up as an option because, you know, in life, people will make decisions that you don't agree with. Your children are going to make decisions that you don't agree with. And how do you best handle that? You know, do you abandon the child and say, well, if you do this, then I'm never talking to you again. If you do this, then you on your own, get out of my house. You know, how do you handle it? And I did feel like that was one of the more reasonable options is to say, you know, hey, I've voiced my opinion. I don't think this is the best for you, but I support you and I love you. And I, you know, want you to know that I'm always here for you. What do you think about that as like advice, or you just feel like that was just some old Madea mess?
It's just some old Madea mess. So the thing is that, yeah, but like the whole premise, the parents didn't know, the grandparents didn't know about the wedding, and it's just, hey, we're getting married, and in 2 weeks is destination wedding. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that it did show that Brian was accepting of it because he was going through with it to begin with, right?
But the mother knew, though. See, the mother knew. The rest of the family was the one who wasn't in on it and knew, right?
But,
okay.
Yeah, but if you're going to really have a big wedding like this, then people know, you know the guy, you know what I'm saying? It ain't like shit like this just pop up. Most of the time. It's very extraordinary. And then by that time, you're either estranged because this has messed up the relationship or not.
Mm-hmm. For those of you who don't know, you should visit axiom.app and you'll be able to look at all of the recent videos across all of our channels. And I'm putting that on the screen right now just so y'all can see it and see what it looks like. Because there are a ton of videos that are over there. And also, I think that there are at least about 100 exclusive videos that are available for our Patreon members and our YouTube members. So, you know, if you're interested in more of our content, as I've seen many of you binge watching, be sure to check those things out. So then we get presented with the next problem, which is he's about to have a bachelor party. Of course, we have Joe, who is like, I want to go to the bachelor party. Old Joe is going to go up in there and try to, you know, pull some young women at the bachelor party. And, you know, they're like, oh, we're not going to invite the father, but we'll invite all the rest of the men. Brown can come to the party. It's just weird.
Yeah, and I thought the bachelor party was going to be something because they did this whole thing.
This workup, and then the bachelor party was like literally nothing.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the movie at all, really. But so what we did see, Joe went gambling and stuff, right? But you know, because they all got keys, and then they could basically charge anything
to the room
that they were in.
And see, this is the subplot I was talking about earlier, which is that folks running up bills. I was like, ain't no way when you know that the room key can be charged, all them room keys is getting cut off. We're not even doing that. Nope. Y'all, go to the comments. Would you just let even if it was your family, would you let your family have the room keys where they could just run up whatever they need to run up when you the one with your card on file? When you paid for them to come to the trip, just let me know. I just need to understand where we are in history at this point. I mean, nah, I'm not doing it. I'm not. So that's also what's happening. And then they have the bachelor party, which is like weird. You know, how sometimes when you see parties in a movie, we all know it's a movie and it's a fake party, but this seemed like a fake party.
Did it?
It didn't feel real to me. And, you know, at one point, the bachelor is standing up on a stage and he's dancing around. And then the next thing you know, he's like in the hallway with a woman. Of course. We're like, wait, what's going on? And so we're looking in the hallway at him and this woman who sees him and the woman but Brian.
Who has been missing for 30 minutes.
At this point in the film. And so, you know, he's like, what? Now you're out here with another woman? And I was like, wait, what's going on? Because how did you get in the hallway with this woman when you were just at your bachelor party? Like, nobody came in and was like, excuse me, come outside. You know, so it just was a very strange turn of events, you know. But anyway, it had to happen.
Maybe I should have been harder on editing.
It had to happen for for the plot to advance, so that the father sees or thinks he sees something crazy. So as it turns out, because y'all already seen the film.
Well,
at this point.
so she looked like she was in her 20s.
No, she did.
Yeah, I know, that's the joke. She looked good for her age.
Yeah.
Nah, but it was an older woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was like, as soon as I seen her, I was like, that's his mama. Like, come on.
Yeah, and she and she kind of, I mean, she didn't look like him per se, but they were both light skinned.
Yeah.
And she was the only light skinned woman in the whole movie, which I was
Cora
like, okay,
is light-skinned,
well,
ain't
that's
she?
true. I think, yeah, you're right about that. But so Cora is a regular.
Cora don't count, yeah.
She didn't really count, like, 'cause she's not one of the ones who cycle in and out of these movies. Cora's the regular. But I did appreciate the casting, and I like to see brown people in the movies. That's not to say that you can't have all hues. I'm just saying that I don't like it if the whole movie is just a certain complexion.
He only cast 2 people. 1 person, right?
I guess that's true. You know,
the light-skinned dude is the only one he cast.
And the daughter, because I don't know that this is the daughter. Did we see daughter?
I
Y'all
don't
go
even
to the
know.
comment.
Y'all
Brian's kids in the past, were these the same actors? I don't know that they were, but y'all let me know, because I ain't about to go back and look.
Let's say they cast 2 people, 1 light-skinned, 1 dark.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. That record might not be that good.
Well, they get on Tyler Perry about his casting and,
Yeah, but I didn't see any problem with it. I'm just trying to be extra.
Cool. You just being extra, admittedly. Okay. So it was cool. But anyway, so this is what happens. And so long story short, because I'm not going to drag it out the way they did, this is his mother. Heit did call it right away. He was like, that's his mama. But they don't tell us right then that this is his mother. We still got to wait some time to find out.
Yeah, that's what they do in every movie or series. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before on any video, but they don't just say the thing. Hey, what you doing with this woman? Why you cheating? It's my mama. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
They got to drag this thing out
he
in
gotta walk
every
off.
show,
People
every
gotta
movie.
walk off and all of this other mess.
Yeah.
And then,
Tiffany walks off and she doesn't know that it's his mama, which is another thing I was saying, right?
Yeah.
She ain't even meet his mama.
Well, okay, so y'all, these are young people, but let me just also say, I did see this thing on social media where this man was like, when that woman is the one, he was like, I'm the Marion type. It's one of these, some man yapping or whatever. And he was like, I'm the Marion type, and when I'm when I'm a wife her up, ain't nobody gonna know nothing. My mama gonna be like, who this? And I'm gonna be like, this my wife. This is my wife. And I was like, well, okay, if that's how you roll, that's your business, So, but again, the thing that makes this different though, is this is a wedding. Like, it's one thing if you say, I'm going to elope, I'm minding my business, I'm going to go over here to this courthouse and handle my business like I think I need to. But it's a whole nother thing when y'all ain't even met each other's families, y'all ain't met each other's parents, that seems quick. And then you could meet a family quick. How long it take to meet the people's family? It don't take that long.
Yeah, and then like, if you ever go around them, right? You don't just go together, or you mention them, hey, yeah. And then, because like I said, we got technology now. Hey, send me a picture.
Yeah. You could do FaceTime. You could be like, mama, this is my fiance, or whatever the heck.
You're on social media, and it's just kind of obvious in 2025, right? Like, what? What are we doing here, Tyler Perry?
You just, but
what? I guess they were estranged because he was went through, he didn't have parents.
Yeah.
Like,
so he was in the foster system at that point. So let me just cut to the chase. So the whole reason that these two young people wind up getting together is because they trauma bonded, if you will. That's at least what they would call it in 2025 terms. They bonded over the fact that, the girl, her mother was on drugs. And the boy, it's not clear whether the mother was on drugs or just unstable in some ways, but he was in foster care at points. So, it was just a tough life for both of them. They bonded over the difficulties with mothers, their mothering issues.
And that's why she just showed up out the blue.
And he did admit, Xavier admits that he used to actually sell drugs. His brother died in his arms.
Wait.
Yes.
He's Xavier with a Z?
He said, they call me Z, but his name is Xavier.
Because we can't spell.
But because it sounds like Z, they call him Z for short.
Okay.
So.
You need to get out them streets, bro.
But listen, he's working to improve himself. So here's the thing. So he lays it out. His brother died in his arms. He didn't finish high school, but the genius, the smart, nerdy,
he's so smart,
younger brother,
he's
going to help you get the GED.
How smart you got to be to do that?
The woman believes in you and loves you, and you love her, and you would never do anything to hurt her, and she's making you a better man, and you're helping to make her a better woman, and you all are just loving each other. And so in the end, we find out that these two really are seemingly well matched. I guess time will tell on that, right? And they really do love each other, and that they're not trying to just be married simply because the mother is forcing it. And the big reveal on why the mother is forcing it is because her rich husband is divorcing her and has agreed that he will look out for the children, giving them each $1 million. The son would get $1 million when he goes to college, or and he's in college, so his $1 million is taken care of. And the daughter would get the $1 million when she gets married. Now let me ask you this: why, for the daughter, is her $1 million tied to getting married? But see, this is a whole conversation I don't know that anybody really wanted to have.
That's the whole old school aspect of it, right? I guess.
That's weird as hell.
But
to me.
what?
Because if you get married, then
it's just gonna go to the husband, basically, right?
Yeah.
But all of that is stupid. And then where did this boy come from? Why him? Could have been anybody. You know what I'm saying? And why is this some ultimatum? You don't have a prenup, so you can get whatever because you're married.
But this,
and it's like, okay, I'll give them $1 million. It's just the whole setup for the whole thing makes zero sense.
It was a letdown to me. And then the mother is like, I just wanted to do something good for my kids, and my heart was in the right place, So at one point, the daughter is all, not being, she's upset with her mother because the mother had kept this secret that basically a motivator was money, and she just wanted to do something nice for her kids. But we're supposed to feel sorry for the mother because, the mother's had this history as an addict. And now, because she hadn't been there for all these things, she wants to do something nice for her kids. But it wasn't even her doing something nice for her kids. It was her rich husband doing it.
Okay. But if you have a rich husband, how long have you been married? You pinch off $20K every once in a while, you'll be all right. You ain't got to worry about none of that. Like, how hard is that?
And even aside from all of that, I just...
How long you been with this guy?
It was just problematic. It was just problematic on so many levels. And so ultimately they do wind up getting married, which I don't think was a bad choice.
But so the daughter and the Z, they got back together because she overheard him basically
talking to her
daddy and didn't address the cheating because the daughter was still under the belief that Z was cheating with that woman.
Right. Who is his mother. You don't even know his mama, girl.
Yeah. So she's just like, yeah. And then they hug and kiss. And it's not like, but this the same same night that you thought he was cheating with this woman in the hallway, but they never resolved that.
No. And I guess it was the resolution that when she heard how good he just loved her.
It don't matter if you was cheating in the next room.
What else was going on? So I did feel like that was left open. But what I did like about the message, although I don't know how many young people are watching the Tyler Perry movie, but what I liked about the message was this idea of marriage, getting married, coupling up in this way, commitments.
But so I don't know, I guess. But he just showed up. He was so just disrespectful and everything, right? You know what I'm saying? It was just kind of like, this the guy that you want who even acts like this, but I guess y'all might as well go ahead and get married.
Well, it's like he doesn't know how to act, right? He hasn't been taught how to be appropriate because he was in the foster care system. And that's what we're led to believe. This is the excuse. Accepting. This is the reason for this. His mother is like, he's a good kid. He was always a good kid and da-da-da-da-da. And
they really do.
Trying,
but the whole movie was about the mama trying to force her to get married so that she can get the money, right?
Yeah.
And pushing her to it.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, they just love each other, get married.
Well, and apparently
it's like,
the stepfather too, right? Because,
exactly.
like that's to make you do it. So you're going to do it to get the money. And so
right, but that's what I'm saying. If there's a good message about marriage, then how come it's just based on pressure from the parents still?
So I would say that I'm not suggesting the way it went down in the movie was a good message.
Oh,
what
okay.
I like is
Just
that
the idea that young people get married.
The idea that young people would consider marriage, the idea that young people would suggest, hey, I'd like to have a coupling with somebody and maybe just
and
want it to be permanent enough and not, especially
before getting knocked up and then talking about bad baby daddies and baby mamas.
Honestly. And it doesn't mean that it's always going to work out and maybe the marriage divorce rates will still be high, whatever it is. But I do think that it forces certain types of conversations that may not get forced when you just wind up pregnant and, we're in baby daddy culture and baby mama culture. That's just how, but that is my own personal thing, that's just my personal thing, period.
Yeah.
And again, I recognize everybody didn't opt for how it ended up in the end. There are a lot of people who wound up as single parents for whatever reason, both men and women. And I know people on both sides of that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not judging that. I just think that for young people, there could be some foresight that you're getting.
Yeah, because it seems like there is this idea that you're supposed to not be with the other parent and struggle, basically, because that's just what it ends up being. When you see it all around, people watch these movies and stuff and they be like, that's why I'll never get married. But you see the situations of people having trouble with their their other parent. But you never say, that's why I ain't have a kid with somebody who I wasn't with.
We were watching some roundtable man discussion with these comedians. Remember that? With Kirk Franklin and DC Young Fly and all these people. It's here on YouTube if y'all want to go find it. But we were watching that, and at some point I was like, okay, so I don't know how long my patience is going to last with a bunch of men who are, well, not all of them were this way, but who just going out there and you got 7 baby mamas and just wild stuff like that. But one of the things is it dawned on one guy. He was like, when I'm there and my child needs something in the middle of the night, if I'm living there, I'm there, and they're able to, yeah, yes, exactly. You had to have a whole epiphany. You had to have a whole epiphany for that. And I'm just see, some things are set up so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I'm not saying traditional values across the board are what everybody should be doing. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying it's wild to me that it's certain problems have been solved.
Right. And we just seen Nick Cannon, right? You'd be like, oh, he can take care of all his kids, but he don't even know all their names.
You can't even name all your kids. and what adult, what parent, what any person would suggest that all it takes to raise children is money? Nobody with a child who they love, nobody who knows children who they love would just be like, all I need is the money, and that they don't need another parent. They don't need the other. And if you do,
child support can push your son on the swing set.
No. So I think most parents would recognize that in a perfect world, the child would have the benefit of both parents, and that money alone is not enough. Think about it. Who's supposed to take care of the kid?
Yeah, but it seemed like a lot of people believe that you don't have to be together for a kid to be all right.
So here's what I would say. If you could not be romantically together and maybe be living in the same household, and that scenario could work, maybe I agree with you. I knew somebody. I actually knew somebody I went to high school with whose parents were still married, but they weren't quote unquote together in that respect. They had separate
that just happened with somebody.
That.
Oh, Keke Palmer, right? Or somebody was talking about that they were still living with the person till they could get out or something.
Or but in their case, they were like, oh, we're gonna stay together for the sake of our son, and and because this was one of my high school friends, and he was telling me, he was like, my parents are not together, we all live in the same household and we are like that. And I was just like, oh wow, I didn't ask too many questions, but it was non-traditional, but he had 2 parents living in the same household. And my thing is, then you have access to both of your parents at all times. And it's not the same as, okay, so what if they have a cell phone and they can call FaceTime? That is not the same as something is bothering me at 2 a.m. and I need to get up and come and lay with mom and dad, or come and be comforted, or come, like it's just not the same. And yeah, people feel differently, and people operate and turn out just fine in situations where they don't have that. But we're just talking about ideals,
and what the default should be, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't get to the montage that they had in the film, right? So he had to end the film with everything that people were buying on charge it to the rooms.
Them talking about all the crap that they charged up and Brian passing out. That's it.
Because of the price.
Because of $43,000 worth of
charges. So do you think he filmed all of those scenes to be a part of a montage, or that was just footage that he had from what he was going to have in the movie of everything that happened?
I think it was just an easy way to tie it up at the end.
Yeah, but you still have to plan that to film all those different scenes. Like they were on a boat and doing all kind of other stuff.
Yeah, maybe that hit the cutting room floor. Maybe. Or maybe they just planned it. I don't know. Whichever is cheaper is what they probably did.
Okay, so he just filmed very short scenes to be used in a montage, probably.
But again, I go back to saying this was not like some great movie, but I do like certain social issues it makes me consider. I mean, we went down a path.
Bro, we could watch every Tubi movie
talking
for
about
that.
Well, yeah, I mean, in Tubi movies, many of them are good, in that respect. So, I like movies that make me think about what's happening socially. And
this ain't make me think about nothing.
Well, because you were busy just deciding that it was a waste of time.
Oh, you say I was decided before I watched
it.
You say I was busy deciding.
As it was happening. So, I mean, but it just is what it is. And I think, like I said, I was happy to see just the idea of it, because it's not something you see all of the time with younger people. But you know what?
Oh, no.
Young people might figure out a way to live life, hopefully, that is better in some ways. There'll always be trade-offs. And I'm certainly not going to try to dictate how young people should be living their lives at all. Do you, boo-boo, as they would say.
Bro, they do not say that.
As old people would tell young people, do you, boo-boo.
Probably.
That's what I'll say.
If you made it this far, type debit card in the comments. If you know, you know. So we'll know you're one of the real ones, so stick around to the end.
And be sure to check out the video that's on the screen right now and go to axiom.app, where you'll find all of our recent videos in one place, where you can get links to them back on YouTube.